thread. How do you convince an entire...
Hello all, welcome to my channel. We will be reacting to Fox News, Faulkner Focus, a lot of news to get through. Alright, so let's get into it.
Nation, you're not too old to lead as commander-in-chief if poll after poll shows the majority of Americans do not believe you.
Yep.
President Biden slipping deeper into the public image and political hole left by a special counsel report that supercharged concerns about his age and ability to run the country.
Right.
Now we're watching Team Biden function in full defense mode. Remember, that report called Biden an elderly man with a poor memory. In fact, it appears that's why the special counsel did not indict him. Since also, in fact, the report revealed Joe Biden willingly retained classified and some top secret documents. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Can he lead through all of this? That's the question. On the short list of things to lead through, a record-breaking border crisis, an impeachment inquiry, a re-election campaign amid dismal polling, 2 foreign wars, and fending off our military in the Middle East as Iran's proxies pick us off like ducks in a pond. All as the president cannot seem to get things straight. Lawmakers say his memory struggles open the door to even greater threats.
At the end of the day, it is incumbent upon Joe Biden to present himself before the American people and demonstrate his faculties. This is not a political point. This is serious business. If the commander-in-chief doesn't even remember when he left the vice presidency, he can't remember the names of world leaders, how is he going to be able to make the tactical decisions at a moment notice that they need for their lives to be protected?
Well, he makes excellent point.
What do you think about that point? It is so key. You're the leader of the free world. And if you can't even remember when you were vice president, was that 2008 when you were Obama? About 2015? Come on now, that's a problem. Don't you agree?
Considering also that the president's schedule is more packed than ever. Meetings with 3 foreign leaders in the next 4 days. The King of Jordan at the White House today. Yesterday, the president spoke by phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And their first chat since Biden last week called Netanyahu's campaign against Hamas terrorists, quote, over the top. That was a speech where he struggled to remember exactly who the president of Egypt was, unfortunately. The prime minister with this response before the call.
I don't know what he meant by that,
Yeah.
but I can tell you where we are. Look, we were attacked in the worst attack on Jewish people since the Holocaust.
Right.
That's that October 7th massacre was equivalent to 29 11s in one day. What would America's response be? I'd say that it would be at least as strong as Israel's, and many Americans tell me we would have flattened them. We would have turned them into dust.
So a question today, what is our relationship going to be like with Israel with Joe Biden in office now with what he's saying? In focus, Republican Congressman Mike McCall, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Let's first go to Fox Business's Edward Lawrence, who's outside the White House. Edward.
Yeah, and Harris, President Joe Biden trying to divert attention from his age. He's blaming companies for inflation again. He's having those conversations with the world leaders. He's trying to overcome poll numbers with well-scripted moments that make the president look sharp. Now, ABC News, the Ipsos poll shows 86% of Americans think the president is too old for a second term. More concerning for him, 73% of Democrats in that poll say the president...
73%, that's higher than 50. It's Democrats. Alright? So come on, man. Come on. This guy should be in a nursing home. We know that, right? Relaxing, retired. What's he doing?
President is too old. 91% of Republicans, these are large numbers. And Democrats brushing off the special counsel report, which used terms, like you said, elderly man with poor memory, also diminished faculties and advancing age.
Wow.
And it just has nothing to do with his job. And obviously the president was very angry about it. I think a lot of people are angry about it in Washington, but it is part of this full-blown offensive against Joe Biden, who right now is the leader of the Democratic forces, not just in America, but all over the world.
But former White House physician under Presidents Obama and Trump turned Texas representative has more lingering questions.
I'd been around him for 8 years in the White House, in and around the Oval Office, and so I've seen a dramatic change. And if you go back and look at the time when he was vice president, and compare it to now, it's amazing at how much he's deteriorated.
And there's a lot of pushback now from inside this White House talking about the stamina the president has, the energy he has, as they say they're trying to keep up with his schedule. We'll see if the president takes questions when he holds his meeting with King Abdullah of Jordan today. Back to you, Claire Harris.
Edward, thank you very much. Republican Congressman Michael McCall of the great state of Texas, chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee, also on the Homeland Security Committee. Let's talk about what's going on with the President of the United States. I'm going to ask my team, Chairman, can we put the numbers back up? 86% of all voters, Democrats, independents included, Biden is too old for another term. Your reaction to these numbers?
Not surprising. The fact that the special counsel confirms everyone's suspicions out there and the poll numbers confirm this. I mean, the question is, when I read the special counsel report, the idea that he's mentally unfit to stand trial begs the question, is he mentally unfit to be president of the United States, the commander-in-chief? And from my perch on the Foreign Affairs Committee, I look at our foreign adversaries, right? And I look at Iran and Russia and China. And, when you look at the Israel situation, Iran respects our military might, but they question the political will of this president as he projects weakness, not strength, projects mentally unfit states of mind. I think this really calls into question our national security.
I want to get to this. President Biden tries to bounce back from the Her report, fears of weakness on the world stage. This is some commentary here. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is back in the hospital. That's a full report. The Pentagon released this statement yesterday. Secretary Austin was...
No, real talk, we wish Lloyd Austin very well. Going through that kind of prostate issue is not the one, so we wish him well, okay? We hope he recovers speedily.
Transported by his security detail to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center to be seen for symptoms suggesting an emergent bladder issue. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the White House, and Congress have been notified. And I should say this time, because we know what has led up to this point, days of secrecy with this Secretary of Defense. This comes after major criticism surrounding his secretive hospitalization. I want to get your take on it. Maybe there's some things that you can tell us about his fill-in, his deputy, Kathleen Hicks, to make the world feel better, because we are under attack like never before in the Middle East, and there are two wars going on that we have to be at least monitoring.
Well, nobody likes to see a president who is in a almost dementia state of mind. Nobody likes to see the Secretary of Defense incapacitated in the hospital because he's got a major bladder infection from prostate surgery. But I have to look at the hard facts here, Harris. And the fact is the Secretary of Defense is essentially incapacitated. And according to the special counsel, we have a commander-in-chief that's essentially incapacitated. What kind of message does that send to our foreign adversaries in a very dangerous time? I cannot stress to you the importance that the world is on fire right now. And if we're not projecting strength, but rather weakness, it only invites aggression and conflict and war. And that's precisely what we're seeing right now.
Right.
Chairman, I'm going to re-ask, because I know you covered a lot there. Just double back on Kathleen Hicks. Look, I know people are given jobs for their, hopefully for their merits, for their resumes. What can you tell us? Because this is a whole lot, and we haven't heard from her. She wasn't even the first person they notified when he was hospitalized the first time.
Well, the question is, did the Secretary of Defense tell his staff not to talk about this? Or did Kathleen Hicks not do her job? And so, there are many in the administration trying to throw the Chief of Staff under the bus, and others saying that the Secretary of Defense told the staff not to talk about it. It was very personal around Christmas holidays.
Yeah.
We don't have all the facts, but we will, because it's just too important.
You think we will?
Well, I know the Armed Services Committee is having hearings, on this to get to the bottom of this. But we need to know, it's inexcusable for the Secretary of Defense to be, under an operation without notifying the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, who he
And that
reports
was
to,
December.
especially right now.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
December. This time we are notified he's gone into a critical care unit, in fact, at Walter Reed. We'll follow it. And as you say, with our hearts, we don't want anybody to be in harm's way. But if the rest of the country is depending on these people, we need to know what's happening and who is really in charge. Well, there's also the border crisis, Biden's border crisis. 1 week after a failed vote, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas faces another House impeachment attempt tomorrow. He's accused of willfully refusing to follow our nation's immigration laws. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise will be back on the Capitol Hill for the first time this year after blood cancer treatment. And that could tip
People in the Capitol Hill are just getting sick. I wish Steve Scalise well as well. Why hasn't Mayorkas been impeached yet? Somebody needs to be held responsible for that border crisis. All right, people are dying at the border. It's a disgrace. Something needs to be done. So I'm hoping they get their acts together and impeach this guy. Come on.
the scales this time. The secretary defending himself and the administration over the crisis this weekend.
More migrants have crossed the border illegally last year than ever before. The asylum cases backlog has more than tripled since 2019. Why do you deserve to keep your job, Mr. Secretary?
The data that you cite is a powerful example of why we need legislation.
Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video, but please hit the like button and comment on this video, and I hope to see you on the next video. I'll see you on the next video. Take care and be safe. One love.